Hello everyone, today I'm going to teach you how to set a paragraph of text using Adobe Illustrator. So let me get started. First, when in Illustrator, say you don't have the character and paragraph menu bars up, like right over here, and you wonder how to get them up. So I'm just going to show you real quick. Let me just close these so I can show you the example. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the main Illustrator menu right on the top, and you're going to click on Window, Type, and we want the character and paragraph. And these are the little shortcuts if you didn't want to keep going to Window. This is Command T, and this is Option Command T. So we're going to go character, and then I'm going to push Option Command T. So we got both of them. We're going to just drag them off to the right to dock them, to keep them out of our way. Okay, so now, now that we got those menus up, let's get started. A designer's job is to make reading as easy as it can be. And if I show you an example, here's just a simple paragraph of text. Very legible, right? No. The answer is no. It's not legible and it's not readable because the counter spaces are way too small. The font size is way too small. The X height is interfering with other line heights of text, and it looks like a big box, and that's not what we want. Yes, we do read shapes, we don't read words, but in this case it looks like all we're reading is just one big block, and it's confusing to our eye. And so to help readers move smoothly across the page, it's important for designers to understand and provide well-structured type format for the reader. So, what designers need to know about setting up a paragraph of text is font size, case, weight and style, line height, line length, and alignment. And we're going to talk all about those 6 areas. So let's get started with font size. Why is font size so important? Well, because of this. Anything 12 point or below for most fonts is too small. In most reading books, the font size can actually be used at 9 points, but this is not for a reading book. This is for the web, and we need it to be legible and readable. So a rule of thumb is anything that is between 13 and 16 point size is good for a large amount of text. But remember, font size varies between different types of fonts. For example, if I change this size to size 12, or not size 12, to size 10 point, it's still pretty small, and the counter spaces are still pretty together. It's not very open like a sans serif font. So let's take this. This is Georgia font, by the way, and we're going to change this to Verdana. And you notice now it is pretty legible. It's the same. It was the same size as the other font, but it's a different font. It's a sans serif font, and this is a Verdana. So it does vary on which fonts you use. If you use a certain sans serif font and you say, oh, well, it's too small, it's 12 points, so, you know, if I use any other font, it's still going to be the same, but it's not. So it's very good to know your fonts. The Verdana, you know, has a taller X height than the Georgia sans serif, the Georgia serif font. So we want to look at everything. We want to look at the counter spacing, the X height, the line height, the font size, everything. We want to evaluate everything and make sure it's going to go well on our site. So like I said, anything that is between 13 and 16 point size is good for a large amount of text. But you need to remember font size varies between different types of fonts. So just because the Georgia font is not legible here, it doesn't mean that Verdana is going to be not legible. Verdana is very legible. So that's what we need to remember. Now, let's go on with case. And let's change this back to Georgia. So, let's say some people are like, I love uppercase. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change everything to uppercase. Well, let's do that then. Let's go to this option. It's this option right on the character menu. We're going to go all caps. It looks great, right? No. No, 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 no. It does not. It looks like an even bigger block, which is not what we want. Uppercase is harder to read, and upper and lowercase have word shapes. Remember that we don't read words, we read shapes. When using uppercase, like this example shows, it portrays a sort of feeling where it comes across as if someone or something is yelling at you, and we do not want to scare people away from our site. We want to make them feel comfortable. We want them to stay and be able to feel comfortable where they'll come again. So we want to make sure that our type is in order. Now let me go back to this example. The case to use for large amounts of text, just like this, simple paragraph, is upper and lower case. We do not want to use just all lowercase and all uppercase. That is not legible because the counter spacing, it's not very legible. You're trying to read what the word is instead of reading the shape, and that's not what we want. We read shapes, and when we read shapes, you see that all of the words are the same shape, and that's not what we want. That's not legible. The X height is not legible, so that's not what we want. We want legible type. Now, weight and style. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate this to show you an example, and I'm going to change this one to Verdana, just like that. It's very simple. Alright, so, okay, when using a bold option in serif fonts, you do not use the bold option because it takes away the font's elegance. The serif fonts have a very elegant look, feel, and flow to them. So instead of, like, let's go web typography, let me just show you an example, and let me bold this. It totally discriminates the whole meaning of the serif font, and that's not what we want. It's kind of like, oh, here's this font and here's another font, and that's not what we want. It's really mixing up the reader that confuses the eye. So on serif fonts, what we do is we don't use the bold option. If I can get that up. There we go. We don't use the bold option. We use italic. And we use italic for the serif font because of its elegance. You start up here and it flows to the right, and because serif fonts have an elegant feel to them. Now in the sans serif fonts, if we highlight web typography, and now we can use the bold option, because if you notice, the bold option in a sans serif, it goes along with the other shapes So you say, oh, here's this, oh, this is important, but you still realize it's the same font. And that's the difference between using the bold in the sans serif and the stylized italic in the serif fonts. So that's very important to know. Now let's just go quickly over line height. Now it's important to use line height because we don't want anything really squished together. I'll show you an example. We don't want it very squished together. It kind of when things are starting to squish together, you're starting to read a line, and then it's like you go on to the next line, but then you realize, oh wait, am I reading the same line over again? Because it's so close together, you don't realize which line you're on, which confuses the reader. So line height is very, very important. But when using a large amount of line height, it makes the reader disconnect with the text, which we don't want. So right now, we're just going to, I'm going to type in 12, and that's a pretty good line height right there. Maybe just a point more. There we go. 13. It's very accurate, and the line height, it gives you kind of breathing room, and it keeps you organized on your reading. So you know it's very easy to read the first line, and then you're gonna have to go to the second line, and then you'll go to the third line. So it helps the reader move smoothly in their reading line by line. Now there's this option in Illustrator, and if we highlight this and we go to the line height option, it's auto. Now, the auto option is a single line type option, and like I said before, it could confuse readers and drive them to read the same line over again. So let me just show you. I'll push auto, and it didn't do that much. It didn't do that much, So I'm just gonna bump up the line height a little bit. I'm gonna go 16. Oops. 18. Oh, it's not doing it. Okay. Let me highlight that, and let's go 16. There we go. Now that is actually whoops, okay. That is actually a lot better. A lot better. So this is what we need. We need breathing room. We need the X height to stand out. We need to see the counter spaces, which is going very well. Now let's talk about line length. A comfortable line length ranges between 65 and 85 characters typically. If you're too short, it makes the reader move too quickly. So let me show you. Let's say we say right there. So there's our too short paragraph. Like, there are many ways to approach the blah 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 blah. Exactly. We don't want them to read too quick. We want to avoid making them work so hard in trying to read this paragraph. So what we do is we figured out a way of ranging the characters between 65 and 85. And that's a pretty healthy paragraph setup right there. Now, let's talk about alignment. And in Illustrator, there are several alignment options. And let's just go on the first one. There is align left, which is very typical. Align center, align right, justify with last line, aligned left, justify with last line, aligned center, and justify with last line, aligned right. And then there's the option where it says justify all lines, which is pretty tricky, which is not what we want to mess with in this situation. So if you follow me to the next video, I will continue on talking about alignment.